My beloved child, before this day ends, there is something your heart has been waiting to hear without even realizing it. Somewhere, someone has reached a moment where pretending is no longer possible. They have hidden their feelings behind ordinary conversations, silent smiles, and unfinished messages, but today those emotions have become stronger than fear. They never expected one person to change the direction of their future, yet your presence quietly did exactly that. What began as simple curiosity slowly became admiration, admiration became trust, and trust transformed into a vision they cannot erase. That vision has only one destination. A future where they wake up beside the person they cannot stop thinking about. Do not rush away, because the next moments reveal why this feeling became impossible for them to ignore. Every small coincidence you dismissed was becoming part of a story neither of you could see. While you believed life was moving normally, destiny was quietly arranging pieces that now fit together with surprising clarity. The reason this person wants to marry you is far deeper than appearance, money, or perfect timing. It is because every path they imagined without you suddenly felt incomplete, while every future including you felt strangely peaceful. The realization arrived without warning, and once it appeared, it refused to disappear. There was one unexpected moment that changed everything forever. It was not dramatic. It was not loud. It was incredibly ordinary, and that is exactly why it became unforgettable. They saw someone who reminded them of you, yet instead of feeling comfort, they felt disappointment because it was not actually you. That single realization shocked them more than they expected. In that instant they understood they were no longer searching for just anyone. Their heart had quietly chosen one person. From that day forward they began imagining conversations that had never happened, celebrations they had never attended, and promises they had never spoken aloud. Each imagination ended the same way. Standing beside you, believing that life finally made sense. Even they were surprised by how quickly this feeling grew. They tried convincing themselves it would fade, but every sunrise only strengthened what they already knew. Somewhere inside, a decision was forming before they had the courage to admit it. They were no longer asking themselves if they loved you. They had started asking themselves what life would look like if they never told you. That question became impossible to escape, and every answer led back to the same unforgettable conclusion. There is another secret they have never shared with anyone. Whenever people asked about their future, they stopped describing dreams and started describing qualities that unknowingly belonged to you. Loyalty. Kindness. Quiet strength. Patience during difficult seasons. Hope when everything looked uncertain. They believed they were creating an imaginary partner, until one day they realized every description matched someone who already existed. You. That discovery left them completely speechless. Since then, every celebration, every family gathering, every meaningful conversation has carried one silent wish hidden behind their smile. They wonder what it would feel like if one day you stood beside them as more than a passing chapter. They imagine introducing you with pride, protecting your dreams as if they were their own, building a home filled with peace instead of fear, and creating memories that would outlive every difficult season. They have replayed these scenes so many times that they no longer feel like imagination. They feel like memories waiting for their proper moment. This is why the thought of marriage no longer feels distant to them. It feels like the natural ending to a story their heart began writing long before their mind understood it. And now something even more remarkable is unfolding. The silence surrounding their feelings is beginning to crack. Small signs are appearing exactly where they never expected them. A conversation that almost happened. A familiar name appearing again. A coincidence too unusual to ignore. A feeling that keeps returning no matter how busy life becomes. These are not random moments inside their heart. They are reminders that the future they secretly imagined refuses to disappear. They are gathering courage piece by piece, choosing confidence over hesitation with every passing day. They know that love built on honesty lasts far longer than love built on perfect timing. That is why they no longer want to keep their deepest wish hidden forever. The dream of marrying you is becoming stronger than the fear of being misunderstood. Yet there is one detail that changes absolutely everything, a truth they have protected more carefully than any other secret, and once that truth finally comes into the light, nothing between you and your soulmate will ever feel the same again. A quiet shift has already begun, even though almost nobody can see it. The person who dreams of marrying you has started changing in ways that even surprise them. They no longer make decisions by asking, "What do I want today?" Instead, another question quietly appears before every important choice. Would this help me build the future I hope to share with them? That single thought has become their hidden guide. They are becoming more patient, more focused, and more determined because, in their heart, love is no longer just a feeling. It has become a destination. Every challenge they overcome feels like another step toward the life they secretly imagine with you. Stay with this story, because what happens next explains why they have remained silent for so long. Their silence was never a lack of love. It was the result of wanting to become someone worthy of the promise they hope to make one day. The secret becomes even deeper when you understand what almost happened recently. There was a moment when they came incredibly close to revealing everything. Their heart was racing, every word was ready, and for a few unforgettable seconds, they believed they would finally tell you how they truly felt. But then uncertainty appeared. Not because their feelings became weaker, but because they feared saying the right words at the wrong time. They stepped back, carrying those unspoken promises inside their heart once again. Since then, every ordinary day has felt extraordinary to them because every small reminder of you quietly brings that unfinished moment back. They replay it over and over, wondering what might have happened if they had spoken just a little sooner. What they don't realize is that destiny sometimes delays beautiful moments, not to stop them, but to make them unforgettable when they finally arrive. Something else is happening that nobody around them fully understands. Their closest friends have noticed the difference. Their family has noticed the smile that appears for no obvious reason. People ask why they seem calmer, more hopeful, and more determined than before. They simply smile because explaining the truth feels impossible. How do you explain that one person has completely changed the way you see tomorrow? How do you explain that your greatest dream is no longer about success alone, but about building a peaceful life beside someone who unknowingly became your greatest source of inspiration? They keep these answers locked inside because some dreams are too precious to expose before the right moment arrives. Yet every passing day makes hiding those dreams a little harder. The desire to turn imagination into reality grows stronger, and with it, so does the courage to finally take the next step. Now the story reaches a turning point that changes everything. The reason they want to marry you is not because they believe life will always be perfect. It is because they have already imagined standing beside you during imperfect days. They have imagined celebrating victories together, facing disappointments together, and finding peace together after every storm. To them, love is not built on grand promises. It is built on choosing the same person again and again, no matter what tomorrow brings. That realization has become the strongest feeling they have ever experienced. But there is one final obstacle standing between their hidden dream and the future they long for. It is not distance. It is not time. It is a single truth they have never revealed to anyone, and when that truth finally comes to light, the reason they have wanted to marry you all along will become impossible to ignore. There is one memory they return to more than any other, and strangely, it is not a grand event. It is a simple moment that nobody else would remember. A smile that lasted only seconds. A conversation that seemed ordinary. A feeling of peace that arrived without explanation. While everyone else moved on with their lives, they quietly carried that memory like a treasure. Whenever life became difficult, they replayed it in their mind because it reminded them that real happiness still existed. That is when they realized something extraordinary. They were no longer searching for excitement. They were searching for the comfort they only felt whenever they thought about you. Stay with this story, because the next revelation explains why they have protected these feelings for so long. Every passing day has only made one dream stronger, the dream of calling you there forever. The truth is, they have already imagined the life they want to build with you countless times. They picture peaceful mornings filled with laughter instead of silence. They imagine celebrating small victories together, encouraging each other during difficult seasons, and creating a home where kindness is never in short supply. They have even wondered what it would feel like to grow old beside the one person who makes their future feel meaningful. None of these dreams were created overnight. They were built one quiet hope at a time, until those hopes became impossible to ignore. They stopped asking themselves whether these feelings were real. Instead, they began asking when the right moment would finally arrive. Deep inside, they believe that some connections are worth waiting for, even if the journey feels longer than expected. Every delay has only strengthened their conviction that a lasting bond is worth every moment of patience. But there is another secret hidden beneath everything they have never said aloud. Before they imagined a future with you, they quietly made a promise to themselves. They promised that if they ever found someone truly special, they would protect that relationship with honesty, loyalty, and unwavering commitment. They refused to settle for temporary emotions or empty promises. Then you entered their thoughts, and suddenly that promise had a face. From that day forward, they began preparing themselves for the kind of future they once believed only existed in dreams. They worked on becoming calmer, wiser, and more dependable because they wanted to offer not just affection, but stability. They know that marriage is more than a celebration, it is a lifelong choice, and they want to arrive at that moment as the best version of themselves. That quiet preparation has been happening for far longer than anyone realizes. Now everything is moving toward a moment they can no longer postpone. The questions inside their heart are becoming louder than the fears that once kept them silent. Every new day feels like another reminder that some opportunities should never be left unspoken. They know the future cannot remain a dream forever. Soon, a choice will have to be made, a choice that could transform years of silent hope into the beginning of something unforgettable. Yet there is one final piece of this story that changes everything. Hidden where no one expects it is the reason they believe you are not simply someone they admire, but the person they have been hoping to spend the rest of their life with. And when that hidden reason is finally revealed, every moment leading up to it will suddenly make perfect sense. Everything has been leading to this moment, even if neither of you could see it before. The person who wants to marry you has finally stopped asking whether these feelings are temporary. They already know the answer. Time has tested their heart again and again, yet every passing season has only made one truth clearer. They do not admire you because of a single moment. They admire the peace they feel whenever they imagine a future with you. They have realized that real love is not loud every day. Sometimes it grows quietly, becoming stronger without asking for attention. That quiet strength is exactly what has carried them this far. While others searched for something new, they kept returning to the same dream, because no matter how many possibilities life placed before them, their heart always chose the same destination. They no longer believe this feeling is a coincidence. They believe it is the beginning of the life they have wanted for longer than they ever admitted. There is one beautiful detail they have never shared with anyone. Whenever they picture the day they finally tell you how they feel, they never imagine a perfect speech. They never imagine expensive gifts or dramatic surprises. Instead, they imagine complete honesty. They imagine looking into your eyes without fear and saying that every hope they have protected, every silent prayer they have carried, and every future they have imagined has always included you. They know those words would change everything forever. That is why they have treated them with such care. They refuse to speak them carelessly because, to them, love deserves sincerity more than perfection. They would rather wait for the right moment than rush into the wrong one. Their patience has never been weakness. It has been respect for something they believe could last a lifetime. Now another unexpected change is taking place. The hesitation that once held them back is slowly disappearing. Every small sign of encouragement gives them another reason to believe the future they have imagined is becoming more possible than ever before. They are beginning to understand that waiting forever is not the same as protecting a dream. Some dreams are meant to be lived, not hidden. That realization has filled them with a quiet confidence they never had before. For the first time, they are allowing themselves to imagine what life could look like after the silence ends. They picture shared laughter, meaningful conversations, peaceful evenings, and a home built on trust instead of uncertainty. Those dreams no longer feel distant. They feel close enough to reach, and that feeling has changed everything inside their heart. But the story is not complete yet. One final truth still remains hidden, and it is the most powerful one of all. The reason they want to marry you is not because they believe you will complete them. It is because you inspire them to become the person they always hoped they could be. You awakened a future they never thought possible, a future built on loyalty, kindness, patience, and unwavering commitment. That is the promise they have been carrying in silence from the very beginning. Yet there is one final moment still waiting to unfold, a moment that will reveal how this hidden dream began long before either of you realized your paths were slowly moving toward each other. When that final piece is uncovered, the entire story will come together in a way that feels impossible to forget. The final chapter of this journey begins with a realization that changes everything. The person who wants to marry you has finally understood that some connections cannot be measured by how long two people have known each other, but by how deeply one person changes another's heart. Long before they admitted these feelings, they had already begun making room for you in their future. Every goal they set, every lesson they learned, and every challenge they overcame quietly carried the hope that one day they would have someone truly special to share it with. They never planned for that person to be you. Yet the more life unfolded, the clearer the picture became. Every road they imagined eventually led to the same place, a future where your happiness mattered as much as their own. That realization no longer feels like a dream. It feels like a promise waiting for the right moment to be spoken aloud. There is one last secret they have protected more carefully than any other. They have never searched for perfection because they know it does not exist. What they searched for was peace. A person whose presence could quiet every unnecessary fear and remind them that love should feel safe, steady, and full of hope. Without realizing it, you became that person. They noticed that whenever they imagined life's biggest milestones, your presence was always there. Celebrating victories. Overcoming disappointments. Laughing through ordinary evenings. Growing older while still choosing each other every single day. That is when they stopped wondering whether marriage was simply a dream. It became the future they genuinely wanted. Not because life would become easier, but because every challenge seemed lighter when they imagined facing it beside you. Now the waiting is beginning to lose its power. Fear no longer speaks louder than hope. Silence no longer feels stronger than honesty. The person who has carried these feelings for so long understands that some opportunities come only once, and they refuse to spend the rest of their life wondering what might have happened if they had never taken that first courageous step. They are preparing themselves to leave uncertainty behind and embrace the future they have imagined for so long. Every quiet prayer, every hopeful thought, and every unseen moment of growth has brought them closer to this decision. They know that the most meaningful promises are not built in a single day. They are built through countless unseen moments of faith, patience, and unwavering commitment. That is exactly the foundation they hope to build with you. As this story comes to its close, one truth shines brighter than every mystery that came before. Someone wants to marry you not because of a passing emotion, but because they believe your lives could become a beautiful story written one ordinary day at a time. They believe the strongest relationships are created through trust, respect, kindness, and choosing each other again and again, even when life changes. Their heart has already made its decision, and now only time stands between a silent dream and an honest beginning. Whether that future arrives tomorrow or much later, one thing has remained unchanged from the very first moment: they never stopped believing that if love is genuine, it always finds the courage to reveal itself. And when that day finally comes, the words they have carried in silence for so long will no longer remain a dream. They will become the beginning of a brand new chapter, the one they have always hoped to write with you. The story does not truly end with a promise. It begins with a choice. Somewhere, the person who dreams of marrying you has reached a quiet turning point. They have spent enough nights wondering, enough mornings hoping, and enough days pretending that these feelings would simply disappear. They never did. Instead, those feelings became the strongest part of who they are. Every attempt to ignore them only made them clearer. Every effort to move on only reminded them why they could not. Their heart has finally accepted what their mind resisted for so long. Some people enter your life for a season, but one person arrives and quietly changes the direction of your entire future. That is exactly how they see you. Not as a passing chapter, but as the beginning of the home they have always searched for. There is one final realization they have never spoken aloud. They no longer dream about the perfect wedding day. They dream about the ordinary days that come after it. Sharing breakfast before the world wakes up. Encouraging each other when life becomes difficult. Laughing over small mistakes instead of holding on to them. Celebrating tiny victories that nobody else notices. Growing stronger together with every passing year. Those simple moments mean more to them than any grand celebration ever could. That is why the idea of marrying you has become so precious. It is not about one unforgettable day. It is about thousands of unforgettable ordinary days spent side by side. That vision has become so vivid that they can almost feel it every time they imagine the future. Now something inside them has changed forever. Fear no longer controls their decisions. Doubt no longer speaks louder than hope. They have started believing that the greatest regrets in life come from the words left unspoken, not from honest feelings shared with sincerity. That belief has given them a courage they never thought they possessed. Every heartbeat reminds them that waiting forever is no longer an option. Every sunrise feels like another chance to move one step closer to the future they have imagined for so long. They understand that true love is not built through dramatic moments alone. It is built through loyalty, patience, kindness, and the willingness to choose the same person every single day. That is the promise they have already made within their own heart, even if nobody else knows it yet. And as this journey reaches its final destination, one beautiful truth remains. Somewhere, someone is quietly preparing for a future that always includes you. They are not searching for perfection. They are searching for forever. They believe that love is strongest when it brings peace instead of confusion, confidence instead of fear, and hope instead of uncertainty. Their wish has remained unchanged from the very beginning, to build a life filled with trust, laughter, unwavering support, and lasting commitment with the person who transformed their heart without even trying. When the right moment finally arrives, the words they have carried in silence will no longer remain hidden. They will become the first sentence of a new story, the story they have always hoped to begin with you.